The laughter came before the winter did, sharp and careless, echoing across empty fields where a rusted metal met gray sky. People stood along the fence line shaking their heads, amused that a woman like her would inherit something so useless, so forgotten. An abandoned grain silo, cracked with age, standing alone like a mistake no one bothered to erase. They said it would collapse, that it would freeze her solid, that it was a curse disguised as property. What no one imagined was that this lonely silo would become the warmest place for miles when the coldest winter in decades arrived. Before the story continues, pause for a moment. If you believe in silent heroes, in second chances that arrive disguised as burdens, please like this video, comment, share with someone who believes resilience still matters, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Her name was Ruth Whitaker, a Christian woman in her late 50s living in rural Iowa, United States, where land stretched endlessly and winters showed no mercy. Ruth had never expected to inherit anything at all. Her uncle, a quiet man who lived alone and rarely spoke, passed away suddenly, leaving behind debt, a few personal items, and that abandoned silo. It had not stored grain in over 30 years. The farm around it was long sold off. Only the silo remained, standing stubbornly in the open, ignored by progress. Ruth had already lost more than most people knew. Her husband died years earlier after a long illness that drained her savings and her strength. Her children lived far away, struggling to build lives of their own. She worked part-time at a church-run thrift store, barely covering rent in a small trailer that shook violently every winter storm. When the inheritance papers arrived, people assumed she would sell the land for scrap or walk away from it entirely. Instead, she visited the silo. It smelled of dust and rust and forgotten years. The concrete walls were thick, stained dark by time. Cold air lingered inside, even on warm days. But Ruth noticed something others never did. The interior temperature barely changed from morning to night. While the outside air burned hot or dropped suddenly, the silo remained steady. That quiet consistency stirred something in her heart. With no money for better options and nowhere else to go, Ruth made a decision that confused everyone. She moved into the silo. The first weeks were brutal. She cleaned debris, patched cracks, sealed gaps with her own hands until they bled. She slept on a mattress placed carefully against a curved wall, listening to wind howl outside while the silo stood unmoved. Neighbors drove past slowly, staring, some laughing openly, others shaking their heads in pity. They whispered that grief had made her foolish, that she would not survive one real winter inside that concrete tomb. Ruth struggled deeply. There were nights she cried herself to sleep, questioning whether faith alone could carry her through such isolation. She prayed often, not for comfort, but for strength and clarity. Slowly, she learned the silo's nature. The thick concrete absorbed heat during the day and released it slowly at night. She added insulation layers, built a small wood stove, and studied thermal mass techniques through old books borrowed from the church library. As autumn faded, the warnings grew louder. Weather reports predicted record-breaking cold. Farmers prepared generators and fuel. Town officials urged people to check their heating systems. The neighbors watched Ruth closely, convinced she would abandon the silo before the first snow settled. She did not leave. When winter arrived, it arrived violently. Snow buried roads overnight. Winds tore across the plains, rattling windows miles away. Temperatures plunged far below normal, freezing pipes and shattering poorly insulated walls. One by one, modern heating systems failed. Power outages rolled through the county, leaving families scrambling for warmth. Inside the silo, Ruth kept her routine steady. She burned wood carefully, knowing the concrete would store the heat long after the fire dimmed. She wore layers, cooked simple meals, and trusted the structure surrounding her. While the outside world froze, the inside remained stable, calm, almost protective. The first knock came during the third week of winter. Ruth opened the heavy door to find a neighbor whose furnace had failed completely. She welcomed him inside without hesitation. The warmth shocked him. Word spread quietly, cautiously, almost shamefully. Soon others arrived. An elderly couple whose pipes burst. A young mother with 2 children whose trailer lost power. farmers who underestimated the cold. Ruth shared what little she had, arranging sleeping spaces, rationing food, praying with those who wanted comfort. The silo became a refuge, its thick walls holding warmth through nights that dropped to deadly extremes. Outside, the county declared emergency conditions. Several homes were deemed uninhabitable. Rescue crews struggled to reach remote properties. The abandoned silo, once a joke, now stood as a beacon. Its simple design, dismissed as outdated and useless, proved stronger than modern convenience. Ruth barely slept during those weeks. She tended the stove, watched faces regain color, listened to quiet gratitude fill the space. She did not feel heroic. She felt humbled. Every night she thanked God for guiding her to see value where others saw failure. When winter finally loosened its grip, the damage was undeniable. Many homes required major repairs. Some families relocated temporarily. Through it all, the silo remained intact, warm and steady. People who once laughed now approached Ruth with respect. Engineers examined the structure, explaining how its thermal mass naturally regulated temperature. Local officials asked if it could be used as an emergency shelter in future winters. Ruth agreed, not for recognition, but because she understood what it meant to be dismissed when standing on the edge of survival. Her life did not transform overnight. She remained modest, quiet, faithful. But something inside the community changed. Neighbors checked on one another more often. Old structures were reconsidered instead of demolished. Wisdom was no longer measured only by appearance or modernity. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that strength often hides behind ridicule and patience, please engage with this video by liking it, sharing it, and subscribing to the channel. Your support allows stories of quiet resilience to reach those who need hope. Before the story ends, please leave a comment below sharing what moment moved you the most. Someone reading your words may find courage in their own overlooked struggle. Because sometimes the place people laugh at becomes a place that saves lives. And sometimes the inheritance that looks like a burden becomes proof that faith, endurance, and humility can turn abandonment into shelter.